Right, we're up to the grouting stage of the tiling the bathroom project, which feels like it's been going on forever because it's taken a lot longer than we originally thought. We've got the walls to do and we've got the floor to do. We've also got some silicone to do around the edges, wherever the tiles meet more tiles or where the tiles meet the wall. We're hoping to get all of that done in the not too distant future. And when that's all done and dried, we can start installing the shower fittings, the taps at the other end of the room, which means we are not too far away from a warm indoor shower, because it's the middle of November now, it's getting quite cold outside, and showering outside is not great. So it's a 5 kilo bag, and it says 1.3 to 1.4 litres per bag. So we're going to do half a kilo to start with. Too much. Ah, good enough.
Good enough.
I don't want to jinx it, but it feels much easier than the NHL based grout we use downstairs.
Well, you would expect so.
But it's not so easy, it's working around all these pipes. But I think I washed off more than I used.
Looks good colour though. And it looks grey.
It is kind of grey.
Rather than beige.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's
that's
like a beigey grey.
I'm sure that's why we chose it.
Yeah. So some very exciting news. Something has gone our way for the first time in what feels like 4 years. The grout went on nice and easily. It then came off nice and easily without dragging it out of the joints. It's looking really nice. There is quite a lot of haze to clean up, but that is all just part of the process. But it didn't take too long. The 500 grams of grout that I mixed up did the end wall at both ends of the room, which is a lot more than I thought it would. And I was able to use it all up just before my alarm went off, saying that the pot life had run out, which is about 40-45 minutes. The floor will be a different story just because there are more grout lines. And of course that means lots more working on the knees. But we'll see how far we can get today. If we get it done, amazing. If we don't quite finish it, that's fine. We can come back and finish it tomorrow. But I'm very pleased with how this is going so far.
So we tried to match the grout to some of the flecks in it, and some of the flecks also match the oak. And it looks really good. There was a darker version of this, but I'm glad we went with this one because I think the darker one would have been too dark. And we are not doing matched black and white grout on the floor like some people have suggested. And I'm sure that they were joking, but in case they weren't, you need to have a continuous grout line.
Ah, yes. No,
So-
I'm sure they were joking.
I'm sure they were too, because, you know, we like doing things right, but that's just a little bit too much, I think.
Okay, I'm going to crack on with the other wall.
Yeah.
So perhaps needless to say, this took more than one day. And one of the reasons for that is it's very difficult to grout and clean a floor that you're also standing on. The other thing is all the cleanup. There's always a lot of haze left on the tiles after you clean off the excess grout. And it feels like it just sticks around for ages. So I think this is probably the third or fourth time we've gone over it just with a damp sponge. But every time you pick up a little bit of haze on the sponge, you have to rotate it round so that you don't then transfer that back onto the floor in a different area. So it's quite a slow process. Okay, the grouting is done. I think the majority of the cleanup is done. And so now we can move on to the next piece of the puzzle, which is dealing with all of the joins and the edges and the corners or the vertices or whichever the right word is to describe what we're about to do next. which is sealing all of the joints. So we grouted all of the tiles, but around the perimeter and where any tiles meet tiles, where the floor meets the walls, for example, or where we have the shelf on the shower end of the room, we didn't grout those joints, but we're going to be using a sealant. And we've got a matching coloured sealant to the colour of the grout that we used. They do a silicone sealant, which is suitable for swimming pools and the kind of environment that we're using. They also have this one, which is a matte version, not suitable for swimming pools, but it is waterproof. It does all the things that we needed to do. I've read the tech sheet forwards and backwards multiple times because for a while I thought we bought the wrong thing. But this is going to do the job nicely. Anyway, the plan is to try and get some of this into the walls. Firstly, any vertical joints, and then subsequently any horizontal ones. And hopefully that should get me the best finish, or at least according to a YouTube video I watched this morning about it. So I learned in this video that I watched this morning that I've been doing this wrong every time I've done it before, which is probably why I have not had a good result. So we're going to be using this, which is a profiling tool for the sealant, and it's got different sizes. There's an 8mm one here, a 10mm one here. This one has a 6 and an 8, I think, and they're all in slightly different sizes. The idea is it allows you to scoop out all the excess and get a nice clean profile of whatever size you want. So apparently the idea is you take this, and I want to cut my nozzle for the sealant so it's just slightly bigger than the 8mm, so around about there. The other thing I learned is that apparently cutting it at a 45-degree angle is incorrect. You want to cut straight across like this. So I'm just going to do a test area here just to see how it goes in, how it works with the profiler. I should be able to clean it all out again if needs be. So let's see. Just going to do a small bit like that. Either this is not at 90 degrees or my wall is not at 90 degrees. Okay, there's a couple of gaps here, so I think I need to go up to 10. Right, take 2. Do you ever have that thing where you watch a YouTube video, you look at something and you go, oh, that's how you do it, that looks so easy. And then when you actually try and do it, it's much more difficult than it is when you watch the guy who actually knows what they're doing. This is definitely one of those moments. And as usual, it's actually the cleanup that is the hardest part of the whole thing. Actually squirting some sealant into a joint and scraping it off is pretty straightforward. If this is what cocks up our entire bathroom, I will not be pleased with myself. Very fiddly. Well, that was an absolute nightmare. And I think I ended up doing almost every joint twice. And I'm still not that happy with the result. I don't know how many hours that took me, but that seems like an absurd amount of time to do 2 corner joints and then 1 piece of trim. I'm going to let that dry overnight and come back and do the horizontals probably tomorrow.
I came back to this a couple of days later because I wanted to try a different profile tool. I was struggling with the green one because it didn't have a 90-degree corner, and this caused some inconsistent thickness in the silicone bead when I was wiping off the excess.
You're using the wrong size for a start.
The blue ones did have 90-degree corners and they did work a little bit better, but it was still a very difficult task. The solution was to try and get it as good as possible and then spend more time in the cleanup phase to get the result that we were happy with.
So my love, one of the things I struggled with when I was siliconing by myself was the cleanup.
Yep.
And this is why I should never be allowed to do things by myself.
Yeah, getting it off once it's dried is not as easy as we might like.
Yeah. So what have we tried? What is working?
So I did a quick Google. Mineral spirit or white spirit was a reckoned on solution. We don't have any, so the other solutions were vinegar, which I tried, which is partially successful, but Then we remembered that we have this rubbing alcohol, or what's it called?
Isopropyl alcohol.
That. And that seems to be doing the job. It's very time consuming on the dried stuff. It's easier on the wet stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a cloth and brush approach. It's coming off, but it's going to take some hours to clean up. Lucky I'm detail orientated.
This was not in the How to Silicon video that I watched.
No. Well,
or the many How to Silicon videos that I watched.
They suggest a razor blade, which we've both tried, and it's not very easy either.
Day 16 on the silicon cleanup job.
I tell you, we had on our plan waterproofing, tiling, grouting and silicon for 1 week. I think we've spent 5 so far, elapsed time.
Mad.
It is mad.
So I've been having a lot of trouble with this joint up here, mostly because it's not really a joint. There is a little bit of a gap under this trim, and there's a little bit of a rough edge on these tiles. And so I'm trying to get a good silicon line, but there isn't really much for it to go into because it's like an external corner. So all of the research that I did about how to silicon said, don't use tape, don't use dish soap, don't use your finger. But I'm going to try a bit of tape here just to try and get a nice edge, because so far it is not working and I've tried it 3 times already. I have got a little bit of the very expensive silicone left. Hopefully it's enough to give this a go. I'll just add this to my growing list of least favourite jobs in a renovation.
I think mine is finding places for our ever-growing pile of tools.
Step 1 complete. You know what it means if this works?
That the internet is wrong?
Yeah, don't listen to some idiot on the internet.
Well, that's the general rule of thumb anyway, right?
I mean, for sure, we're going to get a nice, neat line. It's just whether or not the silicone is actually going to do its job. To be fair to this guy, Charlie, he made 2 or 3 excellent videos about siliconing. And one of the things that I really appreciated in the video was he said something like, everyone says you can't do this, but let's try and see. And he actually did it as an experiment to see if it would work. And it did. And he disproved the widely accepted opinion on the internet.
Well,
and so,
a bit like our avocado trees, right?
Yeah, a bit like the avocado trees, yes. So I do appreciate when people don't just take the word for things, but actually find out. I mean, interestingly, in the instructions for this silicon stuff, it actually says to do this. But the man on the internet said no.
So you didn't listen to the manufacturer's instructions. Instead,
no, I listened to a man on the internet.
Some random man on the internet.
He had millions of views.
Yeah, that does not mean nothing. Yeah. There are some bad videos out there with millions of views.
Yeah, we made one of them. That looks better, doesn't it?
Much better.
Listen to this guy on the internet.
Or don't.
Or don't. So you've got Loctite and PTFE to be extra sure.
So I like the PTFE because the Loctite, as you tighten it up, all starts to come out of the joint. I find that a little bit of PTFE over the top keeps it a little bit cleaner. I say little bit, not entirely.
Pro tip.
Not a pro tip.
Not a pro.
Not a pro, that is for sure. Right, this guy goes on.
You sure you got hot on the right side? Or on the left side?
Pretty sure.
We'll find out when we turn the tap on.
That's how it should be. I just take my Neela.
So the good news is there's plenty of space for it to go on. I just need to be able to get to the grub screw underneath.
I'll be happy when they're all fitted and tested.
Me too. Then we can
Have a shower.
have a shower. So this is the insert for the shower trap. When we had it in there before, it was upside down like this. But we had a couple of comments saying, you know, you can turn it over and actually put the tiles in there, which we did know, but we thought, oh, that's going to be a bit fiddly, let's not bother. But then the more we thought about it, we thought, oh, maybe that would be quite nice actually. So yesterday, whilst Kylie was doing a lot of the cleaning up of the silicone, I went and cut all these tiles and stuck them in to this insert thing. And I've mixed up a little bit of the grout just to finish them off. Right, an incredible amount of time has passed since we began this video, and certainly since we began this bathroom renovation 4 years ago. But we are now up to a very exciting moment, which is installing the hot indoor running shower. Not a dropper. Right, let's hope we can get this off.
Stop making drama where there is not drama.
Okay, good. Right, this feels like a logical step one. I wonder if you're going to need to silicone around these bits as well.
No, they've got the seal on them. So
They have the seal, yeah. We'll just have to do around the outside,
yeah,
just in case.
not just in case. Definitely water will get behind that.
Yeah,
otherwise.
definitely. So that one goes on there. There must be a grub screw or something. Quite a clever design, but quite a fiddly one. I think that's on. Yep, that's on. Yep. So, this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got it there. Yeah. Okay, last piece of the puzzle, the handheld showery thing. Hang on a second. This.
Well, there's something wrong with that's not the right piece.
No, it is the right piece. It's the only piece left in the box. But normally it would slide over
Yeah, that's not right.
this, but it looks like it goes.
No.
Yeah, it goes on there.
No, that's not how they're meant to go.
It doesn't look great, but it's all right. We'll see how it looks when it goes in.
Well, it doesn't. Because it's taking up too much space that you can't actually get it into the fitting.
Oh.
Oh no!
Have you got a tape measure?
No, I don't.
There's one on the shelf. It probably isn't clear on the camera, but we've now only got this thread and, sorry about the shadow, but the fitting is like way back there.
Did we make a mistake when we put the fitting in?
Well, I think we haven't helped ourselves by having it so far back, so we must have done the math wrong somehow. So we've essentially got about 15 mil?
No, yeah,
15.
that's way too short.
And we need 20 something.
Well, that work.
It is not going to work.
What if it doesn't have the collar?
Let's take the collar off.
But then the actual fitting goes into the hole. Well, that's not right either. Chrome part.
But this I think is what we were expecting, is something like this, and then a collar that goes over the top to seal the hole.
Yeah, just like they did with the shower head.
And with the bidet that we did.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could do this. What, we'd have to silicone that would look terrible.
Yeah. And could you even get the hose on now that it's in the wall so much?
Yeah, I think you could just. Okay.
We were so close.
Well, this part of the shower looks excellent if I cut out the ceiling that isn't quite finished or even started. But we have hit a bit of a roadblock with the handheld shower thing, which is incredibly frustrating. But these things happen from time to time, or fairly frequently in our case. So unfortunately, we will not be having a nice warm indoor shower today, or for as long as it takes to solve this problem. And so what we have to do is call a renovation cliffhanger. We haven't finished the shower, but we're close. But we'll have to wait for another episode to actually get all of that done. But there is plenty more to do in here as well. There's a bit more decorating to do. There's the bath tap, there's the bath, connecting all of that stuff up, testing everything to make sure it all works. We still need to find and buy a toilet. We still need to find a sink. We do have something in mind for what the sink is going to go on. But again, maybe we'll save all of this excitement for another episode in the future. So I'm sorry that you don't get to see the beautiful running water, but not as sorry as I am that I'm not able to have an indoor shower. But we will see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye. Can't believe it.
There's always something, isn't there? It's ridiculous.
It gives me more time to get all the haze off the walls though. And,